Good afternoon. It's February the 25th. I'm starting from the Cornwall Centre and heading home. Here's the Cornwall Centre. I'm going this way, across the crosswalk, so we get a view of 11th Avenue here as we cross it. And you'll be able to see that it's quite warm. It's melting. We look west here. You can see the Mosaic Stadium in the distance. You can see how warm it is by the water on the streets. And if we go over here, we can look east. Slight reflection, but generally a pretty good view. I should put my gloves on. And to pick up some drugs at the drugstore here, so that's what brought me down to the Cornwall Centre. Previous to that, I was at the hotel as usual writing. And I was writing for a change. I don't know if I mentioned, but I have a publisher interested in my new fantasy novel, The Fifth Magic. Trouble is, I've only written 90 pages of it, so I have to finish that now. There's a little nice view of some of the old buildings here. That's where Globe Theatre is. At one time it was post office, and then it was City Hall. Northern Bank, 1906, it says on it. And this gets you across the 11th without having to cross the street. But unlike some cities, we don't have a huge number of enclosed walkways. Just a few, and this is one of them. I came down this way earlier. There were two people smoking pot out here, but they seem to be gone. I'm being careful on the streets because of the melting and thawing and freezing. It's quite slick, so trying to pick the way that has the least snow on it and ice. I think the middle here might be better than the over there. So here's the Scar Street Mall. They recently had a kind of a public consultation. I think they've decided to keep it pedestrian. I hope they have. I think that's what everybody wanted, but just because the public wants something doesn't mean the government's going to do it. A number of older buildings here with various things in them. I don't know who Willoughby and Duncan were, but they're not there anymore, but their name is still on the building. Another crosswalk there between the Twin Towers, our version of the Twin Towers. Used to be all there were, now there's a third one. All belong to the Hills companies. Up here is the Joe Fafard sculpture that represents pile of bones. Once upon a time in buffalo hunting days, that's what was here. Those piles of bones. At Kirk in Vancouver. It's around freezing, maybe a degree above. It's very pleasant. And going to stay that way for the next while. So I don't know if this is really, I don't think it's spring, but it could be we don't get another cold snap if we're really lucky. I'm sure we'll get more snow. But hopefully not anytime soon. There's the Crown Life building there. Well, Canada Life now. It used to be Crown Life when it was built. This is where the farmer's market will be soon. That side is shaded. So as I noted when I walked down here, it's quite icy in spots. So that's one reason I'm walking down this side. Really good puddle there too. Ox Metropolitan United Church, established 1882. It wasn't a United Church then, though. It was a Methodist, I think. This is a nice little park. Will be soon once the grass and trees grow up again. There's the cornerstone of the Knox Church. The original. Either Methodist, well, if it's Knox, it was probably Presbyterian. I said Methodist, but it's almost certainly Presbyterian originally. There's City Hall. There's Canada Revenue, tax people. Don't tell them I said that. Provincial Courthouse over there. Another puddle to get by, through, over. There you go. City Hall has various statues and things. I worked up on the 15th floor, it's 17 stories in all, for a few months, filling in for someone who was on maternity, well, adoption leave, I think actually, for a few months in the communications department up there. So when I discovered that government workers don't do very much. They didn't have much for me to do the time I was there. Well, look out the window in the morning because you'll have nothing to do in the afternoon. It was almost literally my situation there. I felt very underused, but paid for it, so hey. I'd gotten one of those emails telling me to, what I had 5 things I'd done in the previous week I would have had to have stretched, but I would have come up with something. At least it would have been something to do, answering that email. One thing I did a whole, like a trivia thing that was supposed to run in the Leader Post, never ran, so all the time I spent on it was a waste. So, yeah. This is Fresh and Sweet. It's a nice coffee shop, but I almost never go in there. I could work in there, but I almost never do. They're supposed to be the tallest building in Saskatchewan right here, but it never happened. Back when I was writer in residence at the 10 years ago now, more than 10. They had great plans to build a condo building hotel here, and it never happened. There was a hole here for a long time, but that was it, and eventually they filled in the hole. So far, nothing. It's not even a parking lot. It's just a vacant lot, which occasionally attracts conspiracy theorists who demonstrate on this corner. Kind of the chemtrail types. I don't really know. I try to avoid them, but I see them here. We'll cross here because we'll change here pretty quick. So this is Albert Street now, north. I might get off Albert Street, walk down Angus to avoid the noise and the traffic once I get on the other side. Although Albert Street has the advantage of less ice, so maybe I should stick to it. Last thing I want is another fall. It's been just about a month since I fell, and I still have twinges of remnants of what I did when I slammed into the ground, banging up my left side, bruising my ribs. This is Viterra. It used to be, the old part started life as a department store. Then it was, of course, Saskatchewan Wheat Pool, but now it's Viterra, and I think maybe they're being sold to somebody else. Still say Viterra? Still does. Victoria Avenue, which has a boulevard. A divider down the middle, so it's like a boulevard. Was the prime neighborhood at one time. That in South Albert. Credit Union building over there. Lots of nice architectural details in this building. If you look, you'll see and if you look up, there's even gargoyles up high. Lots of ornamentation, which I like. Looks like there should have been a statue in there, and probably was at some point, but for a while. It still says X-ray on it, but the doctor's office that was in there hasn't been there for a very long time. I took Alice there once when she was much littler, and it's been empty ever since they moved out. This strip mall has always had stuff for lease. Always seems to be half empty. You'd think it'd be a fairly prime location, but doesn't seem to pick up anything. It's too bright for me to even see what's over there right now. And then we have what used to be Cathedral Social Hall, which I used to like to come to do some writing and occasionally have lunch, but they closed abruptly and nothing has gone in there to replace it as of yet. Last time I looked in, it still had everything on the tables like they're going to open up any minute, but so far nothing. I don't know if there's anything new in the sign. Oh, they still have everything sitting on the tables. Yeah, they've been closed for weeks. Yeah. I was just talking about it. All the menus and stuff are still sitting there, but there's number 1 fire hall. Across 13th. Another strip mall with various things in it. Used to be a Subway, now it's got a different name, Sub Express. It's not a Subway per se. I thought the sidewalks were clear on this side, but maybe not. That's very warm. I'm not even wearing a hat. I'll probably be fine without my gloves. Probably be fine with my coat open as I exercise a bit here. Yay, a pot store. Yoo-hoo. I did not approve of making pot legal. Still don't. It's not a safe substance by any means. People like to pretend it is, but it really isn't. Ooh, let's step here out of that puddle. This is Nouveau Gallery. It's closed today, I think. I've been in there many a time. Scalloper Cat Cafe. Are they still open? No, they've closed. Oh, that's a shame. No cats. What happened to the cats? They're for sale. Aw. I loved walking by there and seeing the cats. Oh well, I have a cat waiting for me when I get home. Now there's another, that was a bowling alley when I moved to Regina, and it's been an empty lot ever since, like for, must be 35 years now. First Presbyterian Church, where we were married in 1997. Well, that's been a while too. But this was already an empty lot when we got married. And again, you'd think it'd be a prime location, but nothing has ever built there or nothing there. We're crossing 14th. Old apartment building over there. Old apartment building over here. Lots of slush. Lots of puddles. Kenora Mall. It has various low-rent businesses in the basement, like the Joy Factory, if you need cleaning. Very slushy over here. You don't want to get too close to the traffic because you get splashed. Microprint, you know, They're so close, but I've never used them for any printing needs. And we've got Casablanca, Casablanco, no, Blanco Cantino, that's what they call it. Used to be, it's been various restaurants, but at least there's still a restaurant there, and like Cathedral Social Hall. I'd never quite known what this building is. Some sort of halfway house, I think. Legion over there. Sask Studios, where my daughter danced and worked. I know the owners really well. I got Valentine's Day decorations in the windows, looks like. I recommend it if you're looking for a dance studio in Regina. I was in their main recital back in May, or was it June? Probably June. They did a ballet version of Beauty and the Beast, and I played Monsieur Dark, the insane asylum keeper, which is funny because I played him in a production of the Broadway musical in Saskatchewan back in 2007 at Persephone Theatre. Kind of my last big professional role, actually, such as it was. My professional career exists, but barely. I am a member of Canadian Actors Equity, but it's not something I do a lot of, and none at all for the last few years. There's been another couple of professional shows since then, but not much. But then, I don't work at it that hard. I've auditioned a couple of times and got a call back to Globe, but didn't get the part. That sort of thing. And I kind of miss it, but I kind of don't. Theater people are weird. I mean, I'm weird, so I should know. They're weird in a different way. I get along with them fine, but I don't really feel like I fit in. But that's the case in most things. I write science fiction, but I've never really felt comfortable around, like at science fiction conventions and stuff like that. I always feel like the odd man out. Less so when I was being published by Daw Books, one of the major New York publishers, which I did 12 novels for. And when Betsy Wilhelm and Sheila Gilbert were running it, I felt, still didn't exactly fit in, but at least I felt like I was part of the Daw family, as we called it. I just didn't talk about politics or religion or any of the things I disagreed with people on. I wish more people would do that. I've often thought one of the most unfortunate things about social media is that we now know what people we would otherwise admire as writers or actors or musicians or whatever. We now know what, to our mind, is sometimes horrendously stupid things they believe, politically or scientifically or what have you. And it shouldn't affect our enjoyment of their work, but it certainly does. And the more serious you take your politics and ideology, the more likely you are to want to cancel people who you might enjoy their work otherwise, but they said that thing on social media and you just can't get past it. So I think in a way it's kind of unfortunate that we know so much about artistic creators. I think actually that if you were just getting into that realm, you'd be wise to not overly share. Remain apolitical, be a bit of a mystery, just do good work and talk about the work, but don't talk about anything else. That's my 2 cents worth, but I don't imagine anybody's going to pay any attention to it. I mostly do. I don't say too much. I'm a pretty big free speech guy, so occasionally I'll push something about free speech. Being a writer, one would think it without saying that you would support free speech, but based on what some of my fellow writers and publishers have said, apparently that's not even the case. So that bugs me. Nevertheless, it is what it is, and I'll just keep creating stuff, publishing books and writing books, and I'll leave some sort of mark on the world that way. Hope to write a lot more books and publish less. in the near future. Shadowpaw Press is slowing down. It has to. I'll be publishing far fewer books than I did last year when it was almost 20. This year it's still going to be a fair number, but next year might only be 4 or 5, maybe 6 if I push it, but I can't see doing more than that, maybe only 4. I already have one big one planned for next year, which I can't talk about yet, but looking forward to publishing it. And of course, I hope to have perhaps some of my own. My YA middle grade novel Fireboy comes out in July, and I'd love to write a sequel to it. I don't know if there's any market for it. We'll see. I'd like to do Kickstarters and do sequels to some of my DAW books that were set up to have continuing series, but nothing went on past a certain point. There's the Masks of Agrima series written as E.C. Blake. I have a 4th book planned out for it. There was the World Shaper series, which I think needs at least 2 more to really wrap things up. Even my Shards of Excalibur, I originally planned or hoped that I would do more books set in more of a fantasy world. So instead of having fantasy elements in our world, it'd be the kids from our world in a fantasy world. Look at all this stuff I want to write. I have books sketched out I've never gotten to. And the publishing is devouring what I could do. And I'm thinking as I move into my supposed retirement years, not that as a freelance and self-employed creative guy, there is such a thing. I would like to refocus on my own writing and see what happens with the publishing. Then there's the podcast. I had a new podcast episode on Sunday with David Carpenter, an award-winning Saskatchewan author that I just published his new collection of short fiction, Hello, in hardcover. So talk to him. I do want to talk to people I don't publish, but I do definitely want to talk to everybody I publish, which is why World Shapers is not just science fiction and fantasy anymore. I wanted to be able to talk to poets and literary types that I interview. And I have done so, and will continue to do so. See, the reason I don't like walking right now is because of the slipperiness. So I don't know if I'll walk tomorrow or not. I'll be going to the gym, and when I go to the gym, it feels like I've done enough exercise without also being on a walk as well. I was at the gym yesterday, for example. That's kind of the main reason I didn't walk. Could walk over there. Maybe I'll try that tomorrow. Yesterday it was a morning session and I was rushed, but tomorrow it's an afternoon session, so I might try it then. We'll see. It is warm enough I could walk in my sweatpants. I wasn't about to walk over there in sweatpants when it was 40 below. Oh, this is terrible over here, everywhere. It's not safe. It won't be for a while, so I might minimize my walking because I don't want to fall again. Having had a really bad fall this year. Minor falls the last 2 or 3 years, but a really bad one this year. And I don't want to repeat that in any fashion, so I'm going to be extremely cautious until the sidewalks clear off, which will be a while yet. Alrighty. I'll stop here. Thanks for walking with me, and bye for now.